After the Civil War, due to levee breaks and flooding and the diaspora of a lot of the laborers, the plantations were pretty much idle. But there was no industry in West Baton Rouge and surrounding parishes. So to get people working again, to restore the economy, they had to go back to the land. Now, sugarcane, which was the primary crop there, was very labor-intensive and costly, both in its cultivation and in the milling process. So a lot of the planters and farmers went into the production of cotton here, at least temporarily, until the labor situation stabilized a little and some debts were cleared, and they were able to reinvest into the sugarcane industry. Well, South Louisiana owes its agricultural fecundity to the Mississippi, but the Mississippi River also is a destroyer. Man has tried to harness the Mississippi and its daughter streams with levees. Those break during times of high water. After each flood, the levees were built higher and supposedly stronger, which only meant that they carried higher floods, broke, and had more disastrous consequences for the communities. Since antebellum times, the American South had a number of plantation owners who were of mixed ancestry. In Louisiana, they were well known as the gens de couleur libre, the free people of color. And they ranked among the wealthiest, the most cultured, the most educated people in Louisiana. At the end of the Civil War, they had suffered losses like everyone else agriculturally. And in the minds of some people, the privileges that the free people of color had before were now on an equal basis with the newly freedmen. As far as the freedmen are concerned, Josephine Dubuclet, the widow of Antoine Duquire, has been likened to the regional prototype of Rosa Parks. She was a free woman of color from a prominent family of West Baton Rouge, Poincapé, and Iberville parishes. She was in New Orleans in 1870. Incidentally, her brother Antoine Dubuclet was the state treasurer at that time. She was about to board the Governor Allen, a steamboat, but she was denied first-class accommodations, saying that they were for whites only. So she filed suit against the owner of the steamboat, who was James Benson. And the local court in Poincapé Parish ruled in her favor that she had a right to first-class accommodations. Benson appealed to the Louisiana Supreme Court, and they said, yes, we sustain. She has a right to first-class accommodations. After Benson's death, his administrator, Hall, appealed to the United States Supreme Court, who, believe it or not, overturned the rulings of the District Court of Poincapé and the Supreme Court of Louisiana in saying that Mrs. Duquire could have been denied first-class rights because such an action would have burdened interstate commerce, meaning that it would have bothered what was going on between two states, Louisiana and Mississippi. This was quite a setback, and it was later used to bolster the similar ruling in Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896, where Omer Plessy was not allowed to sit in what was called white seating on a streetcar in New Orleans. Toward the end of Reconstruction, you see a gradual reversal in some of the privileges that the freed people and their descendants had come to enjoy. Things kind of went back to the way they were. You had become a sharecropper on the plantation where you were formerly enslaved, and you were not technically enslaved, but through the system of sharecropping, if you're not producing as much or more crop for the property as the charges that you're making in the plantation store for food and clothing, you have to remain on the property.